In the capital, at the Marquise of Morgana, a quiet yet dramatic scene unfolds. Maevia, our poised and elegant protagonist, sits calmly reading a paper. Not bad, she mutters. The marriage will be a simple ceremony, and we'll live in the north. Next to her, Gilbert, her supposed fiancé, leans in coldly. I'll tell you now, he says, strict and emotionless. There will be no room for luxury. Behave properly as the lady of the house. But Maevia, completely unbothered, smiles brightly and takes a bite of a macaron. Oh my! This place makes great macarons, she says. I should buy a few more. Gilbert watches her stunned. So the rumors about her being the queen of high society weren't lies, he thinks. Her shimmering hair, flawless skin. It's no wonder the crown prince once showed interest in her. Just a few days ago, at the imperial ballroom, someone even cried out to her, I shaved my head after hearing what you said. Gilbert still doesn't trust the rumors fully, but one look at her, and he can't deny, she does have a presence. He smirks. Maevia sips her tea and suddenly declares, all right, let's get married. Gilbert nods, smug. A wise decision. Not like you could refuse anyway, because of the contract. But then, Maevia looks up, her eyes glinting. Who said I'm marrying you? Gilbert blinks. Huh? What do you mean? With a graceful smile, Maevia says. Not you. I'm marrying your father. Yes, you heard that right. Let's rewind. 300 years ago, the ancestors of two noble families made a strange, joke-like contract. They promised that one day, their descendants would marry. And just in case the age gap was too large, or the genders didn't match, they made the time frame very flexible. The contract was more than just a silly promise. The paper it was written on was enchanted. Even if thrown into lava or sunk into the ocean, it would always return. An unbreakable bond. Now Gilbert, red with frustration, slams the paper down in front of Maevia. This is completely absurd, he shouts. Look, it says if the contract is broken, misfortune will fall upon the family. But Maevia isn't the same timid girl anymore, because the real Maevia is gone. And in her place is someone else entirely. Miss Kimu, a woman from another world. A woman who already knows how this story ends. She knows the truth. Gilbert was the first son, adopted into the Grand Duke's family. The second son was Regan, a kind, powerful mage and the true protagonist of the story. But Gilbert, overwhelmed with jealousy and inferiority, chose a darker path. He became the villain. And 1 year later, he brought home a wife from a once prestigious family. That unlucky woman was Maevia. Her family, collapsing from repeated investment failures, couldn't say no when Gilbert threatened them using the ancient contract. She was trapped in a freezing northern estate, enduring a nightmare of a marriage. And as the cold days dragged on, she thought to herself, maybe it would have been better to never marry at all. But now the story's different. Miss Kim Woo revived Maevia's broken family, so much so, their vaults overflow with gold and jewels. And now she's rewriting the plot. Back in the room, Gilbert shouts, desperate. Maevia, why are you doing this? What have I ever done to you? Oh my, wrongdoing? She blinks, innocent. I'm just curious about your father. After all, he raised someone so wonderful like you. Holding up the ancient contract, Maevia tilts her head. And above all, your adoptive father is unmarried, isn't he? He fits the contract perfectly. She smiles sweetly, pointing to the clause. No restrictions on age, status, or other conditions. Gilbert is speechless. Damn it! There was something like that. What is with this woman? He panics. The Grand Duke. He's known as an old man across the empire. My lady, what do you want? Jewels? Dresses? Is being a Grand Duchess not enough for your greed? A sharp look flashes in Maevia's eyes. Is this because I'm adopted? Gilbert shouts. Are you looking down on me? Maevia calmly rings a bell. Sarah, please escort Lord Gilbert out. Gilbert stammers. I still have things to say. Oh right, Maevia adds cheerfully. Give my regards to the Grand Duke. Gilbert storms out, fuming, while Maevia sits there smiling. Your father. You. Meanwhile, far away in the icy north, at the Grand Duke's estate of Kalakis, a lion, a wolf, and a snake lay curled up together. The wolf and lion doze peacefully. The snake slithers up the lion and whispers, Wake up! Hey, how long do you plan to sleep? A book slips off the face of the man snoozing on the sofa. The Lord of the North, Aedis Kalakis. His defining trait? Severe laziness. And Maevia? She watches from afar. Compared to Gilbert, she thinks, I'd rather deal with a demon king. For the past 10 days, Gilbert had been trying, and failing, to meet Maevia. Each attempt had been more desperate than the last. 10 days ago, his butler had politely knocked on her door, asking if she was available. A few days later, another visit followed, with a more eager tone, hoping she might spare some time. Then, just 3 days ago, the pleas became louder, almost desperate, begging her to grant Lord Gilbert a meeting. And today, even that hope was slipping away. The butler stood hesitantly at the door, quietly accepting the truth. It wasn't going to happen today either. Inside, Maevia sat by the window, delicately enjoying her dessert as though none of that ever happened. She looked peaceful, even elegant, letting the sunlight pour over her as if the world outside didn't concern her. Suddenly, her maid, Sarah, burst through the door, visibly upset and out of breath. She called Maevia's name with urgency, clearly holding something troubling in her arms. But Maevia remained calm, gently asking what the matter was. In her hands, Sarah held a large flower basket, Gilbert's latest gift. Her voice trembled with disbelief and anger as she revealed its contents, funeral chrysanthemums. To Sarah, it felt like an insult, a tasteless gesture with a message too bold to ignore. Maevia, however, didn't flinch. She softly reassured Sarah that there was likely no ill intent. Gilbert, she explained, was probably the kind of man who saw all flowers the same and simply picked white ones, thinking they looked pure. The thought made her smile faintly. Perhaps it was cluelessness, not cruelty. But Sarah wasn't convinced. To her, the issue wasn't just about flowers. It was about respect, or rather, the lack of it. She muttered bitterly about the Grand Duke's household, accusing it of being a place where neither manners nor growth were taught, just bullying and ignorance. Maevia agreed lightly, admitting that the family head in that house truly was terribly neglectful. Then, brushing off the tension, she suggested they go out. Instead of sulking in the room, she proposed a more extravagant plan, to spend every coin they had and not return until they did. Sarah, still fuming, agreed eagerly. But before they left, she made sure the bouquet would be handled properly. With clear disdain, she asked for it to be sent straight to the incinerator. Soon after, Maevia arrived at one of the capital's finest boutiques. The moment her presence was announced, the boutique closed its doors to the rest of the world. A sign was hung at the front, fully booked for the day. Everyone inside knew who she was and what that meant. As Maevia stepped inside wearing a delicate pink dress, the entire staff greeted her with admiration. She was more than a guest, she was someone to be honored. Maevia Morgana, the eldest daughter of House Morgana, carried herself with both grace and quiet power. She was soon joined by 3 other noble ladies. They gathered on the boutique's elegant sofas, chatting warmly. One of them, Charles Morgas, the eldest daughter of the 3rd Marquis of Morgas, took Maevia's hand with excitement. She was thankful for the invitation and confessed she had no idea what to wear to Monica's upcoming birthday. Maevia smiled gently, thanking her in return for coming along. Charles seemed relieved, visibly soothed just by Maevia's presence. The memory of last year's party still haunted her, when her outfit had been mocked in front of everyone. She had been humiliated, reduced to whispers and sneers. Maevia, sensing the lingering embarrassment, reached out and gently touched Charles's face. Her voice was kind but firm. This time, she promised, Monica wouldn't be able to say a word. She would help Charles choose something perfect. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Charles embraced her. To her, Maevia wasn't just a friend, she was her savior. But outside, the air shifted. Monica, the girl from last year's party, arrived at the boutique. Before she could even step inside, she was stopped at the door. A polite yet firm voice told her what she hadn't expected to hear. "We're sorry. Today's schedule is fully booked." At the boutique's entrance, Monica stood frozen in disbelief. She had always been told the doors were open to her at any time, so being turned away now felt like a personal insult. The boutique attendant tried to explain gently. Another customer had arrived earlier, and they were already fully booked. But before the conversation could continue, Monica's attention was drawn to a familiar voice coming from inside the boutique. Her eyes narrowed as recognition hit her. Someone dared to reject her. Furious, she pushed past the doorway. The boutique worker tried to stop her, stammering an apology and saying that another guest was already inside. Monica brushed it off confidently. Judging by the voice, it was probably just a friend. Her guess was right. Inside sat Maevia, calm and poised, surrounded by the other ladies. Monica Elaine, the eldest daughter of the 3rd Marquis of Elaine, greeted her with a sharp, expectant tone. Maevia returned the greeting coolly, implying there was no reason it wouldn't be fine for Monica to join them. The atmosphere turned a little tense. The other ladies greeted Monica, but Monica's focus shifted to Charles immediately. Her tone became cutting as she questioned why she was there. Even expensive clothes wouldn't help, she claimed. If someone lacked taste, better to wear a cheap outfit. Charles looked flustered but admitted softly that Maevia was helping her pick something appropriate. Maevia confirmed it. That was the plan for the day, but Monica wasn't about to be left out. Without waiting for agreement, she plopped herself between the two and insisted on picking an outfit for Charles instead. Charles tried to decline politely, but Monica pushed harder. Was Charles suggesting that Monica Elaine had no fashion sense? Monica then turned her words toward Maevia, playfully but sharply. According to her, Maevia looked stunning in anything, so her beauty, not her taste, was the reason things always looked good on her. Maevia, silently observing, couldn't help but compare Monica to the version of her from the novel. There, Monica had been painted as a cold and haughty villainess, but seeing her now in person, she came off more as a clumsy, awkward girl than anything truly malicious. Maybe it wasn't Monica who was different, but Maevia herself, no longer acting the same way she did in the book. Suddenly, Monica lit up, having found the perfect dress for Charles. It was flashy, with a glamorous, feminine flair. She insisted it would look great on someone with Charles's more quiet appearance. Charles, unsure, hesitated. Flashy wasn't her style. But Monica didn't back down. She told her to try it on first before deciding. Before the mood shifted further, Maevia gently stepped in. She suggested Monica try the dress on instead. She thought it would go beautifully with Monica's hair. Caught off guard, Monica blushed. She protested half-heartedly, but finally agreed, saying it wasn't like she hated it or anything. Then Maevia turned back to Charles and pointed to another outfit on page 17 of the catalog. Something with deeper tones, more refined. Charles looked unsure again. Would it suit her? Maevia nodded warmly and encouraged her to try it. Just as things began to settle, Monica brought up something unexpected. With a serious tone, she asked about the rumors. Was it true that Maevia had received a marriage proposal from Lord Gilbert? And more importantly, had she accepted it? Monica didn't stop there. She accused Maevia of giving out charity before her marriage, clearly disapproving of Gilbert. The other women leaned in, curious. Was it that Gilbert? The adopted son of Duke Aedis? All eyes were now on Maevia. She responded simply, saying the matter had already been declined. Monica beamed. She had expected no less. According to her, Gilbert might have a pretty face, but he was still just an adopted son, and it was ridiculous how he acted like real nobility. Charles tried to defend Gilbert a little, suggesting Monica was being too harsh. But Monica doubled down. If Maevia married him, she'd be stuck in the cold, distant north. It would be a waste. Maevia stood up then. Her voice was calm, but resolute. With a soft smile, she said not to worry. She would live very happily, in a warm home, with a husband who loved only her, even if it was in the frozen north. She excused herself, saying she wasn't feeling well, and left the boutique. As she walked away, Maevia's thoughts grew heavier. She wondered if everything was destined to follow the novel's path, no matter what she did. In the original story, Monica had spent every day mocking Gilbert, and when Maevia had agreed even slightly, her words would get twisted and used against her, fuel for Gilbert's anger. Those insults, even if unintentional, would come back to her through violence. And in the end, Monica herself had ended up in Gilbert's bed. Maevia wanted none of it. Not for herself. Not for Monica. She hoped to sever all ties to that man before the story repeated itself. But fate had other plans. At that very moment, Gilbert appeared. His voice was calm, almost amused. As he said it seemed she had recovered quickly. Maevia froze in place, startled. He took a step forward and looked directly at her. "Lady Maevia," he said. Gilbert stood in front of Maevia, waiting for her to speak, but Maevia stayed silent. Then, with a playful tone, she claimed she was still burning with fever, and added that she needed to shop to feel better. Without medicine, she joked, she couldn't recover. Gilbert let out a quiet laugh. Maevia froze. He had never laughed like that before. Meanwhile, Gilbert silently questioned if she'd finally lost her mind, though she'd never been very ordinary to begin with. Then, softly, he admitted his fault and smiled. He guessed she was trying to get back at him, and accused her of wanting to see him desperate. That's why, he said, she was acting this way. But Maevia firmly repeated her rejection. She really, truly didn't want to marry him. Gilbert didn't believe her. He reached out and grabbed her hand, tightening his grip. He warned her not to take things too far. His patience, he said, had limits. Inside, Maevia was shaken. She hadn't expected him to show his true nature so soon. At that moment, the door slammed open. Charles appeared and shoved Gilbert away. She told him to stop. Maevia had already said she didn't want him. Gilbert stayed calm, explaining he was only here to speak with the woman who broke her promise. But Charles wasn't moved. Sword in hand, she threatened to call the guards if he didn't leave. Gilbert froze. Something about her glare reminded him of his father. A flash of memory, being dismissed with a single sentence and a pile of paperwork. That same cold gaze, like he was something filthy. The anger boiled in him. He lashed out at Charles for daring to look at him like that. He wasn't just anyone. He was to become the Grand Duke of Kalakis, ruler of the entire North. Behind them, a small crowd had gathered. Whispers were starting. Maevia stepped in, warning him clearly. If he didn't want to be detained, he needed to leave. Realizing the situation was slipping from his hands, Gilbert finally backed off. Just then, a carriage arrived. Sarah burst out, yelling for Maevia to get in. Charles gently pushed Maevia toward the carriage. Maevia hesitated for a moment, then thanked her and left. But Gilbert had one last thing to say. He told Maevia he'd come to pick her up for the imperial ball. Maevia responded with a sarcastic smile. She raised her middle finger and made her final rejection clear. She wouldn't attend the ball, and the only meeting left between them should be a family introduction. In other words, goodbye forever. Not long after, a new trend began, politely, coldly refusing unwanted suitors. Some even took it as far as burning the flowers they received. Back at home, Maevia collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted. Sarah handed her water and worried for her safety. The big question lingered. How did Gilbert know exactly where to find her? It hadn't been a public appointment. Maevia considered the possibility of being followed, but Sarah pointed out they would have noticed a spy. Still, Sarah regretted not being there to protect her. Maevia admitted that guards wouldn't help much anyway. Gilbert might look pretty, but he was the most skilled swordsman in the entire empire. Sarah asked what they should do then. Maevia reassured her. In case of a real emergency, they still had a secret backup plan. Sarah was shocked. Maevia wasn't really going to use that, was she? Maevia promised it would only be once. And after she got married, Gilbert wouldn't even dare to look her in the eyes. Sarah was stunned. Married? To whom? Before the conversation could go further, something hit the window with a thud. A crow had arrived. Sarah panicked, wondering if it was an intruder or magical beast. She offered to call the knights, but Maevia stopped her. The crow calmly landed on Maevia's hand. She spoke to it, and it answered with a soft call. It wasn't just any bird. It was a magical beast, one of the Grand Duke's familiars. Far away, the Grand Duke himself was reading Maevia's letter. She hadn't asked him to marry her, she declared it. The Grand Duke sent the crow, Regan, on 2 missions, to find out what Gilbert was plotting, and to keep a close eye on Maevia Austin Morgana. Back in her room, Maevia couldn't believe it. The fearsome Grand Duke had such an adorable little magical beast in his service. At the Kalakis mansion in the capital, Gilbert's rage had reached its peak. A wine bottle smashed against the wall, glass scattering like his sanity. He collapsed onto the floor, gripping his head, shouting in frustration. The memory of Maevia's calm, fearless gaze haunted him. Who did she think she was, looking at him like that, rejecting him, a direct descendant of the Kalakis family? His breath quickened as he muttered to himself, clinging to his noble bloodline as if it gave him power. Outside the window, a crow silently watched as Gilbert's obsession spiraled. When his butler entered, quietly delivering a wrapped object, Gilbert snatched it with trembling hands. The expression on his face turned cold. It was over, he said. All of it. Maevia had made things far too troublesome. The next morning, the same crow that had witnessed everything now lay napping beside Maevia. She nudged it gently. The sleepy bird chirped in confusion, and Maevia simply smiled. Something interesting was about to happen. In her heart, her plan was clear. She had studied the girl's movements, understood her better than Gilbert himself. She was more certain than ever. This time, she'd use Gilbert. She'd use all of it. Fate, power, everything. Later, as she prepared to leave, Maevia stood beside her horse, Alyssa, brushing her mane with calm confidence. Sarah, watching nervously, asked if she'd really be okay. But Maevia had already calculated every step. She wouldn't let Alyssa get hurt, no matter what. Even when Sarah urged her to take a guard along, Maevia declined. An ordinary person wouldn't stand a chance against him, and bringing someone unnecessary would only make him more cautious. Mounting the horse, she steeled herself. This was the moment to settle everything, once and for all. Raven chirped worriedly behind her, but Maevia only turned to reassure him. He couldn't follow. She needed to do this alone. Then, with a quiet command, she and Alyssa galloped into the woods. But someone was already waiting. Hidden behind a tree deep in the forest, Gilbert stood silently, his fingers twitching near his sword. As soon as Maevia arrived, he stepped into view, startling her horse. He smiled, pretending his sudden appearance was nothing but a polite greeting. But his energy was tense, dangerous. He apologized with a mocking grin, but Maevia didn't play along. She asked him to step aside, calm and unbothered. He did not. Instead, he commented on her posture, asking if she'd taken riding lessons, as if that had anything to do with his true intentions. Maevia, unimpressed, pushed back. But Gilbert's mood shifted. He dropped the act and offered her something he called a chance to accept his proposal, to attend the ball with him. He warned her coldly, his father would never marry her. To the Duke, humans were livestock, tools to be used when needed and discarded when not. Even if Maevia somehow became his wife, she'd be nothing more than a locked-up pet, unprotected and abandoned. But Maevia didn't flinch. In fact, she smiled. How strange, she thought. Despite being younger, his sibling had left him in the dust. He was selfish, unruly, a disgrace to the Kalaki's name. And the most pathetic part? He hadn't even realized it was still there. The thing he needed to let go of. The thing keeping him chained. Gilbert didn't respond. He simply stepped aside, and Maevia passed without hesitation. But he wasn't finished. From behind, his voice rose, dark and bitter. He told her she'd missed her last chance, that he'd make sure she regretted it for the rest of her life. And then, he snapped. Drawing his sword, he rushed at her with pure hatred, screaming that he'd slice her ankles so she couldn't go to the ball. But Maevia didn't run. Instead, she jumped down from Alyssa with perfect precision. The sword came down, only to be knocked away as she delivered a powerful kick straight into his chest. The blade flew across the field, landing far out of reach. Standing tall on her horse now, her expression sharpened. She had played polite. She had spoken with honor. But he had made one fatal mistake. He had underestimated her. Gilbert stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. Maevia's strength had knocked the air from his lungs, and now, all he could do was stare. He couldn't comprehend it. That power, that presence. 11 years ago, in the dead of night, a strange figure had appeared before a young Maevia. Cloaked in rags like an old wanderer, the horseman had offered her a contract that sounded more like a curse. All he asked for was a grave, his final resting place, properly prepared. In return, he promised her something unthinkable, an immense power, greater than anything in the world. Maevia had been terrified, her entire body locked up in fear. But even in that moment, she instinctively knew, if she didn't accept, she wouldn't survive. Clutching his cloak, she had begged him. Anything he wanted, she would do it. With a chilling calm, the man had handed her a small box. Inside it, his blood. Drink it when you need power, he had said. There would be side effects, of course, but the power would be hers to borrow, briefly. Only one warning: if someone disturbed his grave, the consequences would be dire. Maevia had hesitated for just a moment, repulsed by the thought of drinking blood. But the man, oddly kind for a demonic being, had promised to make it strawberry-flavored. Now, in the present, she couldn't help but recall that moment with an ironic smile. For a demon beast, he really had been rather nice. Gilbert, shaken to his core, accused her. She had made a deal, hadn't she? With a demon? Maevia didn't deny it. Her calm smile said it all. Something like that, perhaps. But Gilbert, fuming and desperate, threatened her. He'd report everything to the council. He'd expose her. Maevia, unfazed, reminded him. He had attacked first. And between her and the young lord of Kalakis, who would the king believe? Gilbert's anger faltered. Inside, a storm of confusion and fear brewed. That power radiating from Maevia, why did it feel so familiar? Like his father's? No, even stronger. Unbeknownst to them both, a raven circled overhead, observing everything. Through its eyes, the Grand Duke watched. He narrowed his gaze. Was this Maevia's trap? She stood so calmly, without a trace of fear. What was she thinking? Was she seeing straight through all his strategies? Suddenly, the moment shattered. Colin Turner, Gilbert's childhood friend, came galloping into the scene. At first startled, he quickly greeted Maevia with an overly polite tone. Gilbert tried to stop him, but Colin whispered furiously. He thought this was just going to be a quick talk, not a disaster. He scolded Gilbert under his breath. This wasn't just any girl. They were dealing with Maevia. When Gilbert refused to bow, Colin forced him into it, plastering on a polite smile and complimenting Maevia's horseback posture with dramatic flair. Maevia, deciding she'd had enough of the farce, gently patted her horse. It was time to go. Back home, Sarah gasped when she saw the injury on Maevia's ankle. Flustered, she demanded to know what happened. Maevia shrugged. Turns out monster blood didn't make you any more durable. Sarah fumed. How dare they harm her lady? And the ball? What about the royal ball? Sarah sobbed at the thought. Maevia wouldn't be able to attend the grand event she'd looked forward to. But Maevia tilted her head confused. She didn't recall looking forward to it. Sarah reminded her. She'd ordered an absurd number of dresses. Maevia brushed it off. That had just been retail therapy. Still, this ball was no ordinary event. Even the emperor would be attending. It was completely unfair that Maevia might miss it because of the duke's son. Determined, Sarah vowed to ice Maevia's ankle every single day. She had to go. But Maevia wasn't convinced. What was the point? She didn't even have a partner. Just then, a familiar chirp filled the room. Raven had returned, hopping in with a proud little flutter. Maevia greeted him gently, her voice softening. She told him she'd done something cool today, something even the Grand Duke would have admired. Right, the little raven flailed, blushing and chirping excitedly. Then he pecked at something on the table, a sealed letter. Sarah picked it up, her eyes going wide. It was a royal invitation. Even Raven wanted her to go, it seemed. He chirped again in agreement. Maevia groaned. It all felt like so much effort. But Raven squawked in protest. Sarah added fuel to the fire. Gilbert would probably dress up just to impress her. Didn't she want to see that? Maevia sighed. And that, she said, was the exact reason not to go. The person she actually wanted to see never showed up anyway. Throughout the Grand Duke's time in the capital, not once had he come to see her. Not even when Regan had been in danger. Not even today. That's when the realization hit her. Catching his interest was proving harder than she thought. Maybe next time, she joked in her mind, she'd have to get hurt badly enough for Gilbert to drag the Grand Duke over himself. As a final touch, she pulled something from her bag. A sword. Gilbert's sword. She handed it to Sarah with a flat expression, telling her to toss it in the toilet. Sarah blinked. This thing? In their fancy toilet? Maevia didn't care. It belonged in the trash. The next morning, Maevia joined her parents for breakfast. She greeted them sweetly, but her father immediately pointed out she was late. She apologized and sat down, quietly eating pudding. Then her mom suddenly asked if anything unusual had happened recently. Maevia froze a little. Did they find out about Gilbert? She nervously laughed it off, saying nothing had happened. But her parents insisted. If anything did happen, she should tell them. That shocked Maevia. In the original story, her parents were always cold and distant. She used to watch them from afar, even on her birthday and Christmas. But now, they were checking in on her? Her dad added. Don't worry too much. Our family isn't so weak we can't handle a fuss from our child. And her mom casually mentioned. We didn't even hire an assassin this time. We just let it slide quietly. What? Maevia almost choked. Then her mom brought up an old memory. When Maevia was 7, she threw herself on the floor to stop her parents from leaving on a business trip. That investment ended up failing, just like little Maevia had warned. But they didn't listen. Because back then, they thought Maevia was too mature for her age. They assumed she didn't need them. Her mother gently held her hand, and Maevia thought, did the coldness in our family actually change? Then her dad changed the subject. I heard you don't have a partner for the swordsmanship tournament? Maevia panicked. Yeah, but I wasn't planning to go anyway. Just then, Raven the bird burst into the dining room. The servant chased after him, out of breath. Her dad asked if it was her bird, and Maevia laughed nervously. They're too sharp. What if they find out Raven's a magical beast? She quickly excused herself, saying Raven was hungry. Outside, she scolded Raven. Do you have something urgent to say? Raven proudly dropped something from his beak. A royal seal. Maevia gasped. Is this the invitation to the ball? She sighed. I don't have a partner though. Raven, will you be my partner? She pointed at their height difference. If you can't dance, you're disqualified. Raven bashfully covered his face, and Maevia smiled brightly. Wait, could it be, is he really coming? Meanwhile, back at the Grand Duke's manor, the servants reported the carriage was ready for the capital. But instead of waiting, the Grand Duke simply teleported away. Back at home, Maevia returned to her parents. Her mom asked if she wanted tea, but Maevia said she came to talk about something else. Her mom smiled and said it was okay if it was about the ball. But Maevia got serious. Is it okay if I do something childish one more time? Her father asked if this was about the previous generation's contract. He said he'd take care of it, but Maevia shook her head. No, I want to fulfill that contract. Both her parents were stunned. Her father nervously asked, if you're excluding Duke Gilbert, then who else? He only has one little brother. Don't tell me it's that child. Maevia immediately shouted. No, not the child. There's another unmarried man in that family. She looked up with determination. It's the Grand Duke Kalakis. In her mind, she remembered. He's supposed to be an old man with white hair, but he looked younger than his age. Her mom seemed to understand immediately. You've been holding on to this wish all along. Her dad was in disbelief. Madam, are you really giving permission? Then her mom softly asked. Do you already have some kind of promise with the Grand Duke? The maids began whispering amongst themselves as Maevia quickly denied it. No, but I believe he'll come to the ball. I plan to speak to him there. Her mother nodded. Okay, but then, she suddenly suggested something completely out of nowhere. Let's go on a family trip to Elysia on the day of the ball. Maevia blinked. Elysia? That's on another continent. She panicked. There's been a misunderstanding. The Grand Duke looks way younger than people say. Her mom smiled. Our precious darling, pack your things. The night of the ball had finally arrived. Maevia, who once insisted she didn't want to go, now stood in front of the mirror picking between two elegant hand fans. With a spark in her eyes, she slipped on her shoes and admired her reflection. Sarah watched her with folded arms. It was impossible not to tease. She reminded Maevia, if the Grand Duke didn't show up, or if he was actually an old man, they were off to another continent for recuperation. Maevia tried to laugh it off, but her nerves were showing. She hadn't seen Raven all morning. Was it possible he'd run away? Meanwhile, the Imperial Palace ballroom was already buzzing. Nobles gathered in clusters, sipping drinks and sharing gossip. One group whispered about the Grand Duke's adopted son. Apparently, he was shockingly handsome. Another rumor claimed that he and Lady Maevia had a lover's quarrel in the middle of the street. Of course, that set off even more whispering. Was the cool, business-savvy Maevia actually into good-looking men? But not everyone was on board with the judgment. Monica, Maevia's sharp-tongued rival, stepped in to shut the gossip down. She reminded them that Maevia was still young when she made those business mistakes, and that she wasn't someone to talk about so lightly. Back in the ballroom, Maevia sat alone on a sofa, sipping her drink. The music was nice, the drinks were good, everything was perfect, except for one thing. The Grand Duke still hadn't arrived. Maevia was trying not to panic when Monica appeared. With her usual smug tone, she casually asked, "Why isn't he coming?" Maevia flinched. Did Monica know about the Grand Duke? Before Maevia could say anything, Monica continued. Lady Maevia's type is wrinkly old men, right? Maevia nearly choked. But Monica wasn't here for gossip. She had something more serious on her mind. Apparently, Maevia hadn't replied to a letter she sent after their visit to the tailor, and Monica had been waiting. The letter had been dramatic. It accused Maevia of humiliating her, and ended with a very Monica-style PS. Help her pick a birthday dress, and all would be forgiven. Maevia admitted she didn't reply because she didn't think it was worth responding to. Big mistake. Monica exploded. So, Maevia quickly changed her tone. She grabbed Monica's hand and apologized, saying she'd been going through a lot and took it out on someone she barely knew. Monica blushed furiously. She shoved Maevia away and scolded her again, though this time, a little less harshly. Maevia couldn't help but think, Monica was always so consistent, and a little cute. Still flustered, Monica shifted the conversation. She wasn't here for small talk, she had a business proposal. It was about the land Maevia bought 10 years ago, the same quarry that was now overrun with monsters. Monica, it turned out, was sponsoring a researcher who studied monsters, and now, she wanted to buy that land. Maevia didn't even hesitate. No, she said flatly. I don't think that's possible. Monica was stunned. Why? It's useless to you. I'm doing this for your honor. Before Maevia could respond, the doors burst open. An announcer's voice echoed through the ballroom. "Lord Gilbert Carachis is entering." Mevia's smile dropped. So he came, but the one she actually wanted didn't. She rolled her eyes. What was so handsome about that guy anyway? Were people blind? Monica suddenly rushed toward Gilbert. "I'll be right back," she said brightly. Maevia blinked. "Wait, what?" She watched as the two greeted each other like old friends. Her jaw tightened. Did they meet without her knowing? What kind of shady scheme is she planning now? Unable to sit still, Maevia stormed over. "Monica!" Monica turned, surprised. "Maevia?" With a polite smile that masked her growing irritation, Maevia asked, "Should we continue our business talk from earlier?" But Gilbert cut in smoothly. "I'm glad you came, Lady Maevia." Maevia forced a smile. "Ah, yes. But I was actually here to see Monica." Nearby nobles perked up their ears. Gilbert didn't seem fazed. "I'm glad to see you looking well." "My ankle's just fine," Maevia replied sharply. "Unlike what some might have hoped." Gilbert chuckled. "A lover's quarrel? You're still as witty as ever." Maevia gave a mock smile. "Right. How unfortunate. Goodbye, then. Let's go, Monica." "Me?" Monica blinked in confusion. But Gilbert wasn't done. "Lady Maevia," he said, his voice a little louder now. "You have much to discuss with our people, don't you?" From across the room, nobles began whispering. "Did you hear that? It must be an engagement." Maevia glanced around and scoffed. "If it's about my skills, feel free to gossip. No one's going to believe you anyway." Gilbert replied, all gentlemanlike. "Of course not. I would never ruin the lady's honor." "Then what is this about?" Maevia asked, folding her arms, and then he dropped to one knee. "Lady Maevia," he declared loudly, "according to the former agreement, I respectfully request, please, marry me." All eyes turned. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Gilbert, in his head, was smug. Public proposals were hard to turn down. Even if she rejected him now, it would complicate any marriage with the Grand Duke. He'd cornered her. Holding out a ring, he smiled. "Maevia, become my wife." Maevia looked at the ring, then calmly lifted her wine glass and poured it right on his head. Gilbert screamed. "Arg! WH!" She didn't stop. She picked up another glass and drenched him again. Meanwhile, in the king's palace, someone very important had arrived. The Grand Duke himself. The king panicked. "WH, what brings you here?" The Duke looked confused. "Did I do something wrong? I only came because I got the invitation. No need to be afraid." But the king quickly bowed, trembling. Then why aren't you going to the ball?" The Duke gazed at him coldly. "I came to see who the current king is." Seeing that nothing's changed. "I guess time hasn't moved forward much at all." "I see," the king murmured. 15 years ago, the crown prince had once begged his father. "The North is ignoring imperial orders. Please, issue a decree." But the old king refused. "You must never provoke the North. The only one who can control the beasts is that man." The prince was confused. "But, listen well, my son," the king said solemnly. "That man is not human like us." Back at the ballroom, wine dripped down Gilbert's expensive suit, and off to the side, a poor servant holding 2 bottles nearly cried. "That wine costs more than my yearly salary," soaking into his embroidered collar as silence swallowed the ballroom. He sputtered. What is the meaning of this?" Maevia blinked innocently, her voice smooth as velvet. "Oh my! I must have thought it was a dream. I was so dumbfounded I mistook it. I'm truly sorry, young lord." Gilbert's face twisted in rage. "You call that an excuse? Is this how a noble lady behaves? Isn't that right, everyone?" But no one stepped in. Not one voice came to his defense. Eyes were averted. The nobles who once hovered around him now took a step back, pretending not to see. A lady muttered under her breath. "Looks like it was one-sided. Poor thing. Must have been desperate." Gilbert's laugh cracked with humiliation. Ha ha ha. Maevia didn't flinch. He should have chosen his opponent more wisely, she thought. The Ravenna Empire, though vast in territory, had fallen into political disarray after the collapse of their navigation business. The royal family lost its grip, and in their place rose 3 powerful noble houses: the Marquis of Elaine, the Marquis of Morgas, and the house Maevia was born into, the Marquis of Morgana. Of the 3, the Morgana family stood above, their names synonymous with fairness and dignity. Which meant, when disputes occurred, the public didn't hesitate to assume the other side was at fault. Maevia's parents approached her discreetly. "Maevia," her mother whispered gently, "call me if you need anything." Maevia's eyes softened. "Thank you for worrying about me, mother." But the calm was quickly interrupted by Baron Colin. "Lady Maevia," he began cautiously. I understand your feelings, but perhaps for Lord Gilbert's dignity. Baron Colin, she interrupted sharply. He froze. Why yes, the rope you're clinging to won't save you, she said coldly. So act wisely. And just like that, the skies cracked open and the rain poured down. Gilbert stood drenched in the downpour, fists clenched, rage barely contained. Ha! Whether it's the north or here, no one is sane. Maevia tilted her head, smiling sweetly. Correct! What an introduction! His eyes burned with hatred. She cooed. Oh my, how scary! An advisor rushed in, panting. Pardon me, he said, bowing low. Lady Maevia, His Majesty wishes to see you. Privately. Me? She asked. The man trembled. Yes. He's been waiting for you, all along. As she followed him through the palace gardens, the rain grew heavier. It's colder than monsoon season, she thought, teeth chattering. But the cold wasn't just from the weather. The advisor looked pale, anxious. Something was clearly wrong. Why has His Majesty summoned me? She asked. His voice wavered. I can only say one thing. It's all because of what you brought upon yourself. What? Then, faintly, she heard her name in the distance. Maevia. Her steps halted. That voice. I'll be just a moment, she told the advisor and ran toward the sound. Lady Maevia. Oh no. I'm doomed. There they were. Monica and Gilbert. Monica was gently wiping Gilbert's soaked face with a handkerchief. You must be really upset, she said softly. Then she added, Maevia's always been like that. Maybe she hit her head as a child. She's always done strange things. Gilbert looked at her, wounded and raw. Why are you doing this to me? Because I understand you, Monica replied. Honestly, I don't like her much either. I always wanted her to be less successful than me. I even wished for her to be unhappy. Maevia stood nearby, quiet. Should I let this go? If I step away now, their relationship wouldn't be considered improper anymore. Maybe they'd be free to live like happy little lovebirds. But, she stepped forward. Let's stop here. Monica turned, eyes wide. Maevia, since when were you? Maevia didn't answer. She only stared. You heard everything. Maevia's voice was low and final. Monica Elaine, I'll give you one piece of advice. First and last, stay away from that man. Better yet, never meet him again. But Gilbert snapped. Maevia, he lunged at her. You should never have come here. Monica gasped. Maevia didn't have time to move. His hand was already at her throat. I let my guard down, she thought. But maybe, this was how it was meant to end anyway. But before he could tighten his grip, a hand reached out and grabbed Gilbert's wrist. You should know when to stop, said a low, commanding voice. Damn it! Let me go! Gilbert barked, still not realizing who had grabbed him. But then the man spoke again. It's time to go home, my son. The descriptions in the novel had never done him justice. They said he was powerful enough to tame beasts with his bare hands, yet he rarely left his chambers. No one had seen his face more than once, and those who had could never find the words to describe it. Draped in a pitch-black uniform, he radiated danger and decadence alike. His long, narrow eyes carried a sensual gleam that felt otherworldly, almost sinful. And yet, Maevia stared blankly at the Grand Duke, her thoughts spiraling. This is it? The novel really undersold him. He's dangerously hot. She slapped her hands over her mouth to stop herself from screaming aloud. Honey! But the spell was quickly broken by Gilbert's voice, shrill and panicked. Father! It's a misunderstanding. That woman set me up. Two of the Duke's servants had already seized him by the arms. We'll escort you, they said firmly. Let go of me! Gilbert thrashed like a child. Father! Why are you always so cold to me? Father! Just then, rustling came from behind the bushes. The king, crouching in the shrubbery, peeked out sheepishly. Lady Maevia, she turned to him, startled. Your Majesty, I'm sorry to impose, but could you tell the Grand Duke that I've already left after meeting you? Maevia blinked, confused. Yes, I understand. So the Grand Duke is the one who sent the Emperor's aide to summon me. Meanwhile, Aedis sighed, almost disappointed. Even now, he expects to be spoon-fed. Then, his gaze sharpened. The king yelped and bolted out from the bushes. I'll be going now. When the chaos cleared, only the Grand Duke and Maevia remained. She finally got a good look at him. He looks like the kind of villain everyone runs from. But is he really that terrifying? Her cheeks flushed softly. No matter how I look at it, the only thing I can think is how ridiculously handsome he is. The silence was broken when he asked, What's your reason for rejecting Gilbert's proposal? She froze. From the outside, he continued, He didn't seem like a bad match for marriage. His eyes locked with hers. So why do you want to marry someone like me? I need to know. Her lips parted. Because I know what happened in the version where I didn't choose you. In that story, Gilbert locked her away in the icy northern lands right after the wedding. 6 months later, he summoned her back with vile intentions. Naive Maevia had been so happy to be called back. She hadn't known what horrors awaited her. But even then, he had been the only one who warned her. I don't think you should go to that man, he'd said. If you wish, you may stay here. Yet Maevia, too afraid of him, had run away. And Gilbert had caught her. She'd been imprisoned again, this time in the capital. But the Grand Duke came to her cell and reached out his hand. Will you return to the north? Even when she couldn't accept it, he still tried to save her. I still don't know why you did that, she thought, watching the present-day Grand Duke. But I know this much. If Maevia had taken your hand back then, she wouldn't have died so miserably. She smiled. Aedis, would you dance with me? This time, I'll stay by your side. He tilted his head. Dance, huh? Yes. If you dance with me, I'll tell you what you want to know. Though, of course, I won't actually tell him the truth. Because you're hot? Nope. I just need to draw his attention. Operation Aggro begins. Aedis narrowed his eyes. I refuse. She blinked. Huh, I said I refuse. I can teach you. If dancing's difficult. No. It's troublesome. Maevia looked utterly betrayed. But you said you were curious. Curiosity has now been overtaken by annoyance, he said flatly. I think I'll just head home. He started to turn. I could tell you the rest by letter, but that's troublesome too. So let's just end it here. A chart of his emotional state floated before her in her imagination. Anger 0. Boredom 99.8. Sadness 0. Joy 0. Curiosity 0.8. Maevia gritted her teeth. This guy is way more high maintenance than I expected. Since you've come all this way, wouldn't it be a shame to leave without enjoying the ball? I'm an introvert. He took a step. I'll leave now. She grabbed a corner of his coat. Wait, Grand Duke. Her voice dropped, shy. Aedis. She leaned closer, batting her lashes. I really want to dance, but I don't have a partner. As soon as she said it, regret slammed into her. I'm screwed. Flirting was a terrible idea. Aedis stared at her. Then, slowly, one song, would that be enough? She blinked. Huh! He reached for her hand. I asked if one song would be enough. Maevia's eyes widened. This guy, it worked. The grand ballroom shimmered with light as they stepped inside. The polished marble reflected the glittering chandeliers above, and elegant music carried across the air. Couples swirled across the floor in perfect harmony. Maevia and the Grand Duke joined the dance. Aedis moved cautiously, his steps not quite in rhythm. Maevia leaned in, her voice light but teasing. Your Grace, be careful. The floor is slippery. He let out a small chuckle. Sorry about that. I was terrible, wasn't I? His eyes held a hint of awkward sincerity. Honestly, I'm not good at dancing. But I forced myself to come, because I wanted to get to know you better. Maevia blinked. Oh my goodness. I thought you disliked me. No way, he said without hesitation. How could I possibly dislike you? Around them, whispers stirred. Guests turned, shocked to see the two dancing. Maevia, unfazed, brought a finger to her lips and softly hushed him. Shh. From now on, just listen, she whispered. About me, about how to dance. I'll teach you everything from A to Z, my dear. EST. They twirled across the room, but when the crowd caught a clearer glimpse of the man at Maevia's side, panic spread like wildfire. One by one, nobles stopped dancing. Some even backed away. A mother clutched her young daughter, trying to calm her. Shh! Husk! If you want to live, don't cry. The room was heavy with Aedis's cold aura, freezing the once festive air. Maevia stiffened. Was it even necessary to run away? She thought frantically. Hold back those tears. Calm down. I'm about to dance without music now. She lifted her chin. That's right. I can do it. And then, without music, without rhythm, with the whole room watching, they danced. She clung to Grace, her steps sharper, more determined. This is actually making me more competitive, she admitted to herself. Whispers returned, but with awe instead of fear. Oh my! I was wondering why Lady Maevia would dance with someone like that, murmured one noblewoman. But isn't this the most beautiful she's ever danced? But a single cold gaze from Aedis was enough to silence them. The room fell quiet once more. Maevia and Aedis continued their dance as if no one else existed. Wait, she asked, eyeing him curiously. What's going on? A person who's never even set foot in society. Where did you learn to dance? Aedis blinked. I've never learned it though. I'm just glad it doesn't look strange. Maevia raised an eyebrow. Sounds like you're saying you were born with it. Something like that. She laughed, bright and honest. I was right after all. You're not as difficult as the rumors say, right? The Grand Duke looked taken aback, as if her words had struck a chord. He opened his mouth to say something, but closed it again. Not just unafraid of me, he thought, watching her, but openly showing affection. Maybe, Maevia wondered, this is someone else's scheme. But still, Maevia, he said. Yes? I don't know what you're aiming for. He paused, and then, for the first time, smiled. But for now, I'll let myself get swept up in it. That night, Maevia soaked in the bath, staring up at the ceiling. I don't know. I really don't know. She dunked her head underwater, then resurfaced. A memory floated back to her, Aedis' voice, low and steady. Maevia, I'll let myself get swept up in your scheme. She blinked. That means you're proposing to me, right? He'd only replied with a mysterious That talk, let's continue it after we return. And then, he vanished. Teleportation magic. Just like that, gone. She had stood there, stunned. Your Grace. Later, in bed, Maevia threw her arms around a large teddy bear. He just suddenly disappeared. He better stay gone for good. Surely you're not coming back 10 years later, right? She rolled over with a groan. HGH. Whatever. I'm just going to sleep. I'll think about it after sleeping for at least 20 hours. And sleep she did, but her dreams were strange. In it, Gilbert knelt on the floor, wearing a maid's uniform, scrubbing diligently. She loomed over him with mock authority. Scrub harder, Cinderella. If I don't like it, dinner will just be stir-fried potatoes tonight. Gilbert, blushing with tearful eyes, looked up. Mother, please, not just potatoes. She shot up in bed, eyes wide. Morning. Maevia knelt on the floor, vomiting. Sarah held her hair back, concern etched on her face. How much did you even drink? It's not because of the alcohol. Maevia groaned. First, wipe your mouth. Sarah sighed, handing her a wet towel. Should I just tell His Grace to come back later? Maevia's head snapped up. Wait, the Duke is here. He's waiting for you in the drawing room. Maevia, eyes barely open, shuffled into the room. Aedis sat there, elegant as ever. She plopped down beside him. Your Grace, unless it's urgent, maybe you could. After disappearing like that yesterday, what's he doing here at dawn? She yawned inwardly. I'm so sleepy I could die. Maevia, he said suddenly. Yes? Please call me Aedis. And speak casually too. Maevia blinked. I can't do that. My mouth's too rough, so I usually have to wrap my words nicely. Aedis smiled. Then I guess there's no choice. He snapped his fingers. A shimmering light spread across the room. A magic circle appeared beneath them. Maevia's blood ran cold. What the? A magic circle out of nowhere? No way. If he eliminates the one he's supposed to marry, it's a breach of contract. That's cheating. Wait a minute! She yelled. No matter how sleepy we are, the Duke said softly, we have to discuss the details about marriage, Evia. He held up a marriage registration form, an ancient one from the previous generation, stamped with the Emperor's seal. She thinks in her mind, wasn't he supposed to be lazy? And why is he speaking so gently? It doesn't sound like someone addressing a person they loved, it was more like coaxing a cat. Maybe it's because he's a transcendent being? Then she said, that would explain why you vanished yesterday. Sharp, aren't you? He murmured. She added, next time, tell me where you're going before disappearing. Otherwise, I might end up saying something nasty. In that case, he added with a slight smile, I shall gladly adjust to my wife, she replied. Thank you. Then he calls her. Maevia. Yes, she replied firmly. He said, I have no intention of marrying with divorce in mind. I don't plan to divorce either, she said. As long as you don't make my life miserable, he asked. You're planning to spend your whole life with a man you just met yesterday? There are plenty of couples who live well even through arranged marriages, she countered. Having children might be difficult, he added quietly. It's just how my body is. I'll keep that in mind, she replied, sipping. Then thinks, I'm not exactly dreaming of raising kids anyway. Then the Duke asked. Anything else you're curious about? She said. How old are you? Age, huh? He looked thoughtful. I met the first head of the Kalakis family before he even became a duke, back when he wandered dangerous places with a clueless face, she exclaimed upon hearing. Wow, you really look young. Wouldn't be strange if you already had great-grandchildren, he replied. I never had any biological children, and still don't, she pressed on. Then, what about a lover? He replied. None, again she asked. Or maybe someone you secretly love, he sighed. Sorry to disappoint, but no. Then he added, not those things. Aren't you curious why he's lived so long? Meeting the first head of Kalakis. You must know what that means. I do, she admitted aloud, then smiled mischievously. But right now, I'm more interested in your personal relationships. I'll ask about your secret to longevity once I get a bit older. Though if you want to share your secret to staying young now, I wouldn't mind. After a pause she added, oh, and if you feel like it, tell me your longevity secret too. I want to share it with my parents, he replied. Someday, if I feel like it, I'll share it. Then asked, nothing else you want to ask? I'm done with questions, she said. But I have one condition, he repeated. A condition? She replied. I have to settle in a foreign land. Just me and one trusted maid. A lonely place, without my parents, my friends, or anyone else. Your domain is probably colder and harsher compared to here, right? It's not that bad, he assured her. I'm not planning to send just the two of you either. She acted miserable. I might run into people who hate me, or monsters. So what's the condition? He asked. If it's that important to you, I'll listen with an open mind. Upon hearing that she said inwardly gotcha, then began writing while also telling. Bruises 1 million marcas. Stab wounds 1 million marcas. Burns 50 million marcas. Fractures and amputations 1 to 200 million marcas. Death I'll waive the fee as a special service. The Duke gets stunned while hearing. At the end she shows the document and asked, how about it? He laughed, almost in disbelief. What exactly do you think my domain is? I know it sounds ridiculous, she said. What could possibly happen to a duchess in the Duke's estate? He asked. Then why? I'm not exactly a typical duchess, am I? She replied. I'm going to fill a position that's been vacant for a very long time. Some might want to keep an unexpected new power in check, he questioned. You think I would just stand by? Just think of it as a safety net, she said. I'm someone who prepares thoroughly for everything. But in her mind she thinks, or so I claim. The truth is, there's another reason. Gilbert Kalakis. That bastard is heading north too. Once I'm in the north, I'll be alone. And Gilbert has his own following. There's no guarantee I'll win easily, even if I play dirty. So if I get beaten 100 times and only hit once, at least, wouldn't getting compensated make it less frustrating? If you're that scared, why not call for escorts? He asked. Even if you bring all the soldiers from your marquisate, I'll allow it, she bragged. Why waste manpower when I have a husband who's impressive enough to show off? He countered. Doesn't seem like you're actually trusting your impressive husband, she replied. We've only met twice now. Then he smiled faintly. I thought you were bold, but you're just a bunny, she winked. My goal is to become a bunny-like wife, after all. If you agree, please sign first, then I'll sign right after, huh? She paused, staring at his eyes. She leaned to him calling, Aedis, did you know? Your eyes have a shade of violet in them. It's like deep blue seas with purple stars twinkling inside, he asked. Why are you saying such unnecessary things all of a sudden? Looking at him she thinks, are you getting shy? This is kinda cute though, then said. Still, I'm happy I got to know a little more about you before the marriage. You had so much information about me, but I barely knew anything about you. It felt unfair. Now, it feels just a tiny bit more even, he asked. Aren't you scared? She questioned playfully. Of what? Your domain? Or the marriage? He said. Of me, she replied oblivious. I'm not scared of handsome people. Then he asked, raising the pain. No more conditions? She replied. What I just said is everything. He signed it and said, I accept. Now it's your turn, she replied. Okay. While signing she thinks, finally, I'm signing it. After she signed it the paper got burnt and ashes flew away. She said, it was real magic. I knew that already, but seeing it with my own eyes feels different. I wonder what kind of person created this contract. He teased. Should I tell you where their grave is? He offered with a deadpan look. She looks like she might actually go pour poison on it. She laughed. I'm really curious, but I'll pass. I feel like I'd actually do it if I said yes. Then she said, finally, the promise between their families was fulfilled. I am now Maevia Kalakis, then the Duke said. I look forward to our future, Your Grace. Looking at him she thinks, just like Aedis said, I've become the Duchess of Kalakis, but for some reason, I feel less like a noble title and more like I have joined the Demon King's army. But she rejected those thoughts. Well, as long as he's handsome, it's fine. Then she said, the demon realm. No, I mean, when are we returning to the territory? The Duke replied. Whenever my wife wishes, she teased. What if I say I want to leave right now? Aedis smiled faintly. How could I possibly refuse? She said. I'm just joking. I need to at least say goodbye to my parents first. It seems, he added, noticing. There are a few others you should say goodbye to as well. A knock interrupted them. My lady, it's Sarah, Maevia replied. Come in. I'm sorry to intrude while you have a guest, Sarah said, bowing. Lady Elaine sent a letter. It seemed urgent. She brought a letter with her, Maevia asked. At this hour? Then thought. It's probably about what happened that day. She opened the letter and scanned its contents. She thinks, Monica's more interested in Gilbert than the Duke. She's probably curious why I called him a bastard, she sighed. Monica's tone practically jumped off the page. The letter reads, I apologize for my rudeness last night. However, considering I risked danger to defend you, I believe I have the right to hear the full story. Also, I'd like to personally deliver your invitation to my birthday party. When would be a good time to visit? Of course, I trust you'll attend even if a natural disaster strikes. She blinked. Why does this letter sound so noisy? She thought. As expected, seeing her expressions, the Duke asked, Is it really urgent? No, Maevia replied, clearly uncomfortable. She just wants to deliver the birthday invitation herself. I can take my time replying. My lady, Sarah interrupted. You might want to hurry, she asked, confused. Why? Sarah added. Well, the messenger said Lady Elaine already left her mansion after sending the letter. She turned to Aedis, grumbling. If she was going to come anyway, why even ask when to visit? I could offer you a place to hide, Aedis suggested. She refused. If it's the Duke's manor, I'll have to decline. I'd rather not run into the eldest son. If that's the only reason, Aedis said ominously. I can take care of it. No, it's fine. She shot him a knowing glance. I feel like your way of taking care of it would send him straight to the afterlife. As long as he's gone, the place shouldn't matter, he replied calmly. Just say the word if you change your mind, she replied. I'm good for now. Anyway, Aedis, shall we move the rest of the conversation to the salon? Looks like we're about to have more uninvited guests. She stood up, following her. The Duke also stands up and said, Sounds good. Let's go. Aedis' eyes twinkled as he added, Seeing how cute your nightwear is, I'm curious about your day clothes too. What? She gasped, then turns to the mirror saying, What about my clothes? After taking a look at herself, she felt despair. I've been in my pajamas this whole time? She quickly called out. Sarah, help me get ready to go out. Quickly, the maid complied. Why yes, my lady. Meanwhile, two knights who were keeping watch on Gilbert were talking to each other while he was lying on the bed. One said, I've never seen anyone so beautiful before. She was radiant, changing the very air around her. If she ever becomes the Duchess, even the glaciers of Esmeralda might melt, like a goddess of spring. Yes, there's no better way to describe her. But, he pointed towards Gilbert and said, And that eldest son had the nerve to pursue her? One of the knight named Procyon asked. What? So what happened to the proposal? Did she cancel it because she was disgusted by the Duke's family? I heard the Duke even ran out early this morning to stop her, the other replied. I dragged the eldest young master away, and my lady danced with the Duke. They didn't make it into the hall, but from what I heard, it was chaos. She even danced with the Duke. Such a beautiful lady. How did she get entangled with the Kalakis family? Procyon suggested. She should have married our second young master instead, the other asked. Isn't child marriage illegal? Procyon countered. And you're okay with the century age gap with the Duke? He argued. Well, they're both adults, so. Then Procyon sighed. I'm still worried. Can someone so delicate and pure really survive there? What a bunch of nonsense, Gilbert scoffed. Delicate and pure? That's so absurd it's almost funny. He rises up from lying and said, Aren't you curious about her true nature? The new Duchess and the mask she's wearing? I can tell you all about it. But instead of replying to him, Procyon completely ignored him and continued. So, when are we returning to the territory? What is this garbage talking about? Gilbert glared down. Are you ignoring me? We should start preparing, the other said. Who knows when the Duke will tell us to leave? Procyon's eyes narrowed. What about the eldest son? The other whispered. Wrap him up nicely and stash him somewhere out of sight. Just strap him to the back of the carriage, no one checks there anyway. Then Gilbert cut in. Wait a minute, Procyon asked him. What now, before we leave? Gilbert growled. I'd like to say goodbye to a friend. Procyon mocked playfully. The eldest son has friends? Who knew someone who beats up his own brother could find one? Ah, birds of a feather, huh? Watch your mouth, Gilbert snapped. You're barking up the wrong tree, huh? Procyon countered, guarding up. You should choose your words more carefully. Our master is the Duke, not you. Don't make this any bigger than it needs to be, the other knight warned. Sit down, Gilbert sneered. Ha! You still don't get it, do you? An unruly dog needs discipline. He conjured a summong circle saying that. Even though there were two top knights standing by, Gilbert's expression twisted. The knights also gets ready, Vega said. Once the summons is complete, we draw our swords. No hesitation. Do you want to rot in prison? Procyon asked sharply. Gilbert thought. A little bloodshed is worth it. If father finds out, it won't end well. But I can't just let them insult me like this. He summoned his sword from the circle and said, You brought this on yourselves. Don't regret it. He gets ready, gripping his sword. I'll kill you! But his sword was completely covered in dirt, with stinging smell. Both Procyon and other knight covered their nose due to foul smell coming from the sword. Procyon mocked. Ugh, is that the friend you wanted to say goodbye to? They really do flock together, Gilbert muttered, throwing the sword away. He slammed his hands on the table and shouts. Damn it, those bastards! How dare they look down on me? Gilbert Kalakis, looking at his raged Procyon, said. What a temper. Can someone do something about the smell? The other knight asked. Is your so-called friend Baron Colin Turner? Gilbert replied. Yeah, that's right, he continued. I'll pass the message along. Calm down. Though I doubt he'll actually show up, given the situation. You should have just done that from the start, Gilbert muttered. Then the knight turns and said, Let's go, Procyon, he complied. Ah, yes, sir. After they locked the door, Procyon asked, Are you sure about calling that friend over? If he causes more trouble, the head knight replied. The Duke is in the capital right now. If he causes a scene, knowing that they'll pay the full price for their stupidity. Later, Gilbert's friend visited him. Both of them sat down to talk. Baron Colin said, Now that we're heading back to the territory, I'll just lay low and stay quiet. Gilbert said yes, quietly, especially since his grace came all the way to the capital. That reminds me, there's something I really need my one and only friend to do. If it's about Lady Maevia, forget it, Colin replied flatly. I value my life, thanks. Who said anything about her? Gilbert muttered. Colin asked, Humph. Then, Gilbert continued, Her little brown-haired maid. I need her broken first, if I'm going to feel better. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, Colin replied, disgusted. She's not the type to sit back and watch when her people get hurt, he thinks in his mind. Crazy bastard. You're so far gone you can't even assess the situation anymore. Looks like it's time to switch sides after all, he thought. I'm talking about our joint business up north, Gilbert continued smoothly. I heard you were unhappy with the profit distribution, behind my back. What, are you trying to threaten me now? Colin replied. Gilbert added, Yeah, you really helped me out a lot, and even knowing that, I couldn't repay you properly, Colin asked. Are you seriously out of your mind? Gilbert chuckled darkly, leaning closer to him. Ha! If I could just ease this filthy feeling a little, I feel like I could be very generous. Generous enough to share some silly business profits with a dear friend, without a second thought. Very generous, in fact. Colin, he said slowly, eyes gleaming. I'll ask you one last time. Will you grant me this favor? At the Morgana estate, flustered and red-faced, Maevia exclaimed. It's a misunderstanding. Aedis raised a brow, his tone calm but curious. What exactly is the misunderstanding? I mean my pajamas, she blurted out. Ugh, I was half asleep. I didn't even realize what I was wearing, and then I went and flirted with Aedis like that. She covered her face, mortified at the memory. Then she said, You must think I forgot that I was changing clothes. Absolutely not. So please don't misunderstand, I wore it on purpose. Pajama style is trendy now, the Duke said. Let's just leave it at that. After that, a maid came and served her coffee, she said. Why, your coffee is ready! She eyed the cup she offered. No matter how I look at it, I don't think this is what I ordered. Wasn't it supposed to be an Americano? She began. About the drink, but after looking at the maid almost freaking out by the fear of the Duke, she stopped. She sighed but took the cup anyway. Yes, guess I'll just drink it. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, she spat it out. The Duke asked. What's wrong? She replied. It's nothing. The Duke stands up and grabs the cup from her hand, saying, It's a little disappointing, but my wife has been lying to me since the very first day of our marriage. Please wait a moment. He went with the cup of coffee. She wonders. Where are you going? She went after him. He went to the kitchen and prepared a carefully crafted cup of Gomgam strawberry latte. He announced, setting it down before her. Her eyes widened. The Northern Duke himself made this dessert, and it actually looks pretty decent, she exclaimed. Wow, it looks exactly like the one on the menu. I hope it suits your taste, Aedis said softly. She took a tentative sip, steeling herself to keep a straight face no matter how it tasted. But as the flavor hit her, she nearly gasped. It's insanely delicious, she thought. Out loud, she gushed. You're even better than the royal chefs we have back at the castle. Aedis gave a faint smile. If there's any capital food you'd like to have in the north, please let me know in advance. I'll have it prepared for you. She blinked, stunned. This is so different from what I expected, she thought. I thought he'd make some excuse, or wouldn't bother coming here. I was sure he'd delay signing the contract too. Did I misunderstand the novel? At the ball, he was definitely portrayed as lazy. I don't know what's gotten into him, but there's no need to wake him up from it. Later, while sitting in the park, she blurted out, Then, I'll have a custard pudding, please. I just have better hearing than most. I can hear even tiny sounds, Aedis said offhandedly when she marveled at his attentiveness. You say that so casually. Do you have clairvoyance? She asked, suspicious. Again he replied, I just have better hearing than most. I can hear even tiny sounds. She thinks in her mind, is it because he's a transcendent? He really does have all kinds of powers. But then why? She said, it's really strange. You have so much talent. So why is that guy like that? She said in frustration. No matter how bad it is, you'd expect him to learn something by watching you. Who in the world taught that guy? When we get to the north, I'll take care of him first, then the Duke said. He probably takes after his biological father. Gilbert's biological father, she echoed. He replied, Yes, something like that. At first, I tried to grow attached too, until I saw what Gilbert did to his tutors. I don't remember there being anything about a biological father in the novel, she thought. And it was supposed to be an unwanted adoption. In the original, it was only described as Aedis brought two brothers abandoned in the desert. That was all the depiction there was. So I thought Aedis took them in out of kindness. Is there some secret to it? Is there a reason you didn't disown him? She asked carefully. The Duke replied, Yes. I can't go into details, but disowning him isn't possible. Instead, if you want to punish him or whatever, feel free to do so. She thought, it's hard to disown him. Is he being threatened? By the biological father? But how could a transcendent like Aedis be? Was there even a character in the novel strong enough for that? Ha! If I'd known I'd reincarnate here, I would have read all the way to the end, she said. Punishment? Well, now that I'm the Duchess, I have the authority to do that. Aedis changed the subject. Maevia, you said you'd be bringing one maid with you. Is she someone important to you? She replied. Yes, she is. She's been by my side since childhood. I see. His expression darkened. Noticing that, she asked, Did something happen to that girl? The Duke used his powers and saw her in danger. He said, Looks like it's Gilbert's doing. She's being dragged away. Upon hearing that, Maevia asked, Is she okay? She doesn't seem injured, he replied. Not yet, Aedis observed quietly. Your maid seems surprisingly cooperative. Meanwhile, Sarah cried out, face covered and handcuffed. I just did what the young lady told me to do. Please spare me, Colin the kidnapper barked. Be quiet. He gritted his teeth in anger. Damn it. I wasn't planning to deal with this personally. Idiots. They misunderstood the order and brought her straight to me? Desperate, the maid cried out. I'll tell you everything about the young lady. Just spare me. Hey, shut up, one of them snapped. Please have mercy, she pleaded. The person asked. You said you'd tell me everything? You're willing to betray your master? She replied. Of course. I'm just a lowly maid anyway. My salary isn't even that much. Payday's the 15th. The 10th felt too early, and the 20th felt too late, so they settled on the 15th. Okay. I believe you, so just shut up already, Colin groaned. Now tell me about your young lady. Then she began. I served her closer than anyone else. It's not an exaggeration to say I know everything about her, including her most fatal weaknesses. Meanwhile, the Duke and Maevia was observing everything unfolds in front of them. They were standing at a distance away from their eyes. The young lady's weakness is, she can't whistle, the maid cried out desperately. What? The man stared at her, incredulous. This is a very important weakness, she insisted. Whistling is one of the essential skills for nobles, especially for falconry. Since the young lady can't whistle, It's hard for her to train a falcon. Indeed, he muttered, his patience wearing thin. Useless. I'll give you one last chance. Answer properly. Please spare me. I really told you everything, the maid pleaded. First, the young lady sleeps very heavily in the morning. She wouldn't even notice if someone carried her away. That's pretty important info, right? And also, she doesn't eat sweet potatoes, cucumbers, onions, or potatoes. So if you plan to poison her, avoid those ingredients. The man's eye twitched. What the hell? These are just a crazy young lady and her crazy maid. His hand drifted toward his weapon. Should I just kill her? There aren't any witnesses anyway. As he began walking towards her holding his sword, a voice called out from behind. Colin, you should stop now. The Duke appeared behind him with Maevia with a magic circle. The Duke uses his power and a gust of energy swept in, hitting him. He froze at the calm, commanding voice. Aya! Who? Looking at them, the maid gasped with relief. And my lady. Maevia uncovers her face and said, Sarah, sorry I'm late. You must have been scared. Let's go home. She hugged her tightly. My lady! Sarah sobbed, clinging to her. Maevia turned to Colin, her eyes cold. Baron Colin, I told you. The rope you're holding onto is a rotten lifeline. Ah! Colin stammered as the Duke walks towards him looking angry. His companions ran away in fear, leaving him behind. After dealing with him, the Duke escorted them to the carriage. Maevia asked, Are you sure it's fine to leave like this? The Duke replied, It's fine. We know who the kidnapper and the mastermind are. Even so, if you ever need, please call for me. Actually, there is something I want to ask, Maevia said, pausing. The Duke replied, Please feel free to ask. As long as it's within my abilities, I'll do anything, she said. Really? Then please prepare a bridal room, Edith. I'm moving into the Grand Duke's residence tonight. Huh? The Duke blinked at her, stunned. Then as the carriage began, Maevia observed Sarah. She was keeping quiet. Maevia thinks she's usually not this quiet. She may not be badly hurt, but this must have left a trauma. I'll treat today's incident as an occupational injury, Maevia added. Ah, really? Thank you, my lady. You're the best, my lady. Sarah cheered, her fear forgotten. Maevia sighed. You weren't feeling down at all, huh? I worried for nothing. Then she remembered. Right. I was kidnapped while packing up, so I couldn't finish. What should I do? Maevia said. If that's the case, I suppose it can't be helped. But for spilling my complex, you're getting 3 months' pay docked. You really are the devil incarnate, my lady, Sarah muttered. Later in her home, her mother said, So you're here to talk about the one who hurt Sarah, right? Maevia asked. How did you? Her mother replied. In the capital, there's nothing the Morgana Marquise doesn't know, Maevia questioned. You must have heard that I'm going north too, her mother said. Yes. When are you leaving? She replied. Tonight. I'm heading to the Grand Duke's residence right after tonight's dinner. We're skipping the formal wedding, her mother remarked. Such urgency. Maevia explained. On paper, I'm already the Grand Duchess. If you've made up your mind, I won't say anything, her mother said quietly. But I'm worried. You must have reasons you can't tell us. Maevia looked down thinking. I'm sorry, father. Mother. There's not much time left. The disaster that will strike the north soon. To avoid the ending from the book, there's no other way. I'm sorry, mother. She's really gone, her mother whispered, watching Maevia leave. She's still so young. Will she be alright up north? Well, her husband hesitated. Then a maid came. Marchioness, sorry to interrupt, but the young lady told me to give this to you once she left. She looked at it. A letter, her father said. It seems she knew you'd be worried and left this letter behind. Hee, you really don't know Maevia yet, the Marchioness said, unfolding it. The letter reads, To my beloved mother and father, I'm leaving for the north soon. Could you please apply some pressure on Colin's business for me? Just enough to bankrupt him and force him into public auction. Then, please take care of it, mother. The Marquis laughed softly. Goodness, P.S. I'll invite you to the north once every spring, summer, fall, and winter. So don't miss me too much. After reading that, her mother said. Does she realize how far and expensive traveling to the north is? The Marquis replied. That's what we earn money for, isn't it? That's true. The Marchioness smiled sadly. Her father pulled her mother close and said, She may still be childish in many ways, but let's trust her choice in a husband. Because it's the person our lovely daughter trusts. While in carriage, it's mountains everywhere around here, Maevia muttered, looking out in awe. I didn't think anywhere like this existed in the capital. Seriously, Sarah added, voice lowering with unease. It's not going to be easy to leave once you're here. What if they're territorial on top of that? Like giving the young lady nothing but rock-hard bread? Or making me clean with ice-cold water? No way it'll get that bad, Maevia said, though not entirely reassured. She fretted on. It's true that a duchess they didn't even expect might not get a warm welcome, she said to Sarah. If things really do turn ugly, I'll understand if you have to drop your manners. After a few moments, the driver announced, Young lady, we've arrived. They stepped out before the Kalaki's ducal estate, nestled within the capital's borders. She stepped out the carriage and observed, the grand house certainly looks like a ducal residence. Maevia hesitated while looking ahead. Young lady? Is something wrong? Sarah's words were cut off as servants appeared, lined up stiffly. Greetings! We pay our respects to the Duchess, they said in unison, their movements rigid. Huh! What's with these stiff blocks? Maevia thought, a bit overwhelmed. I pay my respects to the Duchess. I'm Vega, temporarily in charge of managing the estate, said a tall man with a composed air. Yes, nice to meet you, Vega, Maevia replied politely. Just then, a young knight came hurrying through the other knights. Excuse me, coming through. I'm Procyon. I was just knighted this year. Vega is busy, so I'll guide you. Sarah leaned closer, whispering. Young lady, did you send gifts ahead of time before coming here? Like a box of fruit or something? She replied. Not really. The chaos erupts between knights, one pointed. We haven't even been formally introduced yet. This little punk's quick on his feet, another said. You brats! How dare you act like this in front of her grace? They punched and kicked Procyon, shouting, but Procyon only grinned. Hee, this level of hazing? I've been waiting for this day. I've prepared a surprise so incredible that her grace will never even think about divorcing. A few moments later inside the palace, Procyon said, Allow me to explain about this place. It gets the best sunlight, moonlight, and morning dew. It's on the 3rd floor, not too high, not too low. And this bed, Maevia examined the room. It looks nice, he said. Then let's get ready for bed right away. Not here, she cut in. Her voice was firm. Surprise terminated. Procyon mumbled, deflating. Later the Duke was taking a bath. He thinks in his mind, I did order them to prepare thoroughly. If she didn't like it, she might be puffing her cheeks out right about now. On the other hand, if she's fine with it, she might already be sleeping in those pajamas. Tomorrow morning's going to be interesting. Later he went to the room. He thinks, by now, Maevia should be asleep, so he quietly approached. But as he reached, she greeted him. It's been a while, Aedis. Aedis, startled, blinked and quickly turned, saying, Apologies. I mistook the room. Wait a second. This is your room, she called out from behind. Common sense says a honeymoon suite shouldn't have separate bedrooms, right? The Duke stopped at the door and said, First, I'll go change my clothes, she replied. Good. And I'm just going to hold your hand while we sleep, so don't run away. Later they get on bed. While lying, Maevia said, Holding hands is no big deal. Now that we're married, how about getting a little closer? You could ask questions you've been curious about, he asked. Anything is fine? What is it? She asked, curious. He questioned. Then, how did you overpower Gilbert back then? It seemed like a level of skill an ordinary person couldn't manage, she replied. Honestly, I drank the blood of a beast. I made a direct contract with a beast to get its blood in a proper and fair way, he said. I didn't expect you to have ties with a beast, she explained. It's not really a connection. It was just a simple transaction. I protected the beast's grave, and in return, it gave me its power. Honestly, I just got lucky this time. I don't think I'll be able to use that power a second time. My body won't be able to handle it. Then the Duke asked, Could you tell me about the characteristics of the beast you contracted with? She replied. It was a very old beast. It could even speak human language. He rises up and said, I can hardly believe it. Then she leaned closer to him, saying, Anyway, could you lend me your ear for a second? Hold on, can I borrow your ear for a second? Maevia asked, leaning closer with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Aedis sighed, then rolled blanket around her and said, Please, just get some sleep, she cried out. Aedis, please at least let me breathe. He sighed, leaving her there. The next morning, Sarah exhaled deeply, trembling at the tension of the Duke sitting behind them. She was brushing Maevia's hair while trembling. Sarah? Maevia glanced over. If it's too much, I can do it myself. The thank you? I mean, no, that's not right, Sarah stammered. Maevia said inwardly. You're scarier than usual. Maybe it's because we're in a confined space. Like a zoo lion versus a wild lion? Then Aedis puts down the newspaper and extends his hand towards them. Maevia asked Aedis, he said, holding out his hand. Hand me the brush. Then the Duke started brushing her hair. She mused, thinking, how sweet. He's so kind. You're mine the moment we marry. Is it that mindset? It makes me curious how far my request can go. Her gaze drifted over him. He always wears black clothes. Should I suggest trying a different color? With his pale skin, any color would suit him well. A smart brown, or a blue suit to match his eye color. It might be fun to highlight it with my hair color too. Aedis, is there a reason you always wear black? She asked at last. Are there any colors you avoid? No, Aedis replied simply. She brightened up and said, then, before we head to the north, can we wear matching outfits once? Since we'll be visiting my parents. Later in the kitchen, Procyon was hard at work. This time, I'll make a dish that will satisfy Her Grace, the Duchess, for sure. Maevia reached there and asked, you're Sir Procyon, right? Her Grace, the Duchess? Procyon exclaimed. She asked him, I thought you were a knight. Why are you cooking? Procyon hesitated. Most of the servants at the duchy couldn't stand the young master's tyranny, or they were killed. So the knights are filling in instead, she huffed. Oh dear. Just then, the other knights bowed stiffly. Greetings, Your Grace, the Duchess, Procyon told. By the way, the temporary butler who greeted you yesterday is actually the captain of the knights. Oh, if that's the situation, then I can make my request comfortably. She smiled. She said, could you grill some meat for me? I want the smell to soak thoroughly into my clothes. After that, Vega led her toward the detached annex. He said, the young master stays in this annex, away from the main building. It's as luxurious as my own bedroom, Maevia thought. Will locking him up here make him reflect? No wonder his twisted personality hasn't changed. As they entered, why are you here? Gilbert barked, face twitching. Even if I'm not your biological mother, aren't you speaking a little too harshly? Maevia replied calmly. Ha! Mother? Gilbert sneered. We're heading to the north this coming weekend. As your stepmother now, I'll take good care of you. I'll even fix your picky eating habits, she said, undeterred. She presents the dish proudly. Procyon's special ginger set meal, but Gilbert throws away the food. Vega came rushing. Your Grace, the Duchess. Is something wrong? He looks at the spilled food and shouts. You've gone too far, young master. Her Grace carried that heavy tray all the way here. How could you treat her like this? He grumbled. Ah, these lunatics. Maevia felt herself sway. Ah, suddenly I'm dizzy. Maybe the tray was too heavy, Vega said. I'll fetch the physician at once. Maevia was acting so she can mock Gilbert. Gilbert scowled, so she thinks. Look at that crumpled face. I bet you're getting a bad feeling. Like I'm about to give you a huge slap in the face. Later in her room. My lady, no, Your Grace, the Duchess. Sarah's voice trembled. Do you really have to do this? Do what? Maevia asked evenly. Sarah said. About young Master Gilbert. And everything else you're planning to do. Maevia was holding a key to the box that was lying on the table. Maevia's gaze sharpened. Sarah, there are people in this world you can reason with, and people you have to assert dominance over for them to even listen. Which do you think Gilbert is? Definitely the latter. But that's not the only thing I'm worried about, Sarah asked, concerned. How can you be so sure there won't be side effects from that drug? Maevia thinks in her mind. Yeah, I know too. If you repeatedly ingest the blood of a magical beast, side effects are inevitable. I worried about the magical beast too, but I want to make it clear. To show them exactly who they dared to mess with. She drinks the beast's blood and gets dressed in a maid's cloth. Then she went to the Duke's room through the window and said, Aedis, hurry and get up. We need to finish before the drug wears off. Meanwhile, Colin barked to his subordinates who left him when he gets caught. Shut up! You want compensation when you can't even do your job properly? You're worse than livestock. How dare you run away from your master? Maevia and the Duke was watching them. There was a bitter laugh. She said, looking at it this way, I think I'm actually a great boss. Sir Procyon, you agree, right? Aedis doesn't respond, so she asked, why aren't you answering, Aedis? He replied. Let's head down. He extends his hand towards her. As she complied, he casted his teleportation magic on her and said, Take care, Eve, she said, I'll be back soon. She teleported to Colin and calls him out. As he looks at her, his expression gets miserable. He asked, Maevia, why are you here? She replied, Maevia? Who's that? I don't know anyone by that name, Colin shouts. What nonsense! If you're here because of what happened the other day, I was just following Gilbert's orders. I mean, you didn't actually get hurt or anything. A cold chuckle followed. She said, Yeah, but you should have come straight to me. Getting beaten up by a maid, what an embarrassment. She grabbed him by the collar. Colin tried to get free, but her strength was overwhelming. This is for Sarah. A blow landed. This is for me. Another hit. And this one's for Raven. The beating continued. After a few moments, nearby, 2 onlookers froze as they were addressed. Maevia said, You two over there. You saw everything just now, didn't you? They cried out. No. We didn't see anything, she said. But you should have seen it. Take a good look now. Look at what your boss did to a single maid. And who am I? Both of them said in unison. A maid, Maevia said. Right. Whether you look from the front or back, still just a maid. Then the Duke appears there and asked, Madam, are we done here? She replied, turning. Almost. It actually wrapped up quicker than I thought, the Duke said. Then let's go. There's still something left that you'll like, she repeated. Something I'll like. After a few moments, Colin's subordinates were carrying him away. As he was groaning in pain, one said, Bear with it just a little longer. Then Gilbert arrived there cloaked. He asked, Colin, why didn't you obey my orders? Gilbert's voice was low and dangerous. Looking at him, Colin shouts, Gilbert, you bastard! Gilbert asked again. Answer me. Why didn't you follow orders? Colin barked. Don't give me orders. All you ever did was chase after that woman instead of focusing on your own future. If it's like this, you might as well kill her. The Duke and Maevia was watching standing at a distance on terrace. A smooth, mocking voice broke in. Oh my. Looks like my son is awake. Must have snuck out while we were away, the Duke said. Maevia, maybe it's best if you head back now, she asked. Huh? Why? He replied. I'll escort you back to the mansion. You should get some rest, she asked him. What about you, Aedis? I'll finish up here. His face turned dark with anger and tone darkened. She thinks in her mind. Looks like there'll be blood tonight. I can feel the killing intent. A few days later, Gilbert was looking totally beat up. He called out, looking outside from the glass window. Hey, what's going on at the main building? It's been noisy since morning, a knight replied. The Grand Duke and Grand Duchess are visiting the Marquisate today, he repeated. The Marquisate? I see. The knight brought the food and placed it on table, he said. Yes, and the Grand Duchess personally asked me to deliver this to you. Gilbert looks at the food and shouts. Burke, throw it away immediately. A note fluttered down, its message sweetly ominous. Picky eaters will be punished by the heavens, dear son. Meanwhile the Duke buried Maevia's hair. She said, Huh? It looks almost the same as what Sarah did. The Duke averted his eyes and said, Well, maybe you just got lucky. A night before he asked Sarah to teach him how to braid hair. She turns to him confused and said, That's suspicious. Then they went to Morgana Marquisate. The Marquis greeted them. Thank you both for coming all this way, the Duke replied. It's nice to officially meet you, Maevia said. How have you been, mother, father? We're glad you made it, they replied. Then the Marchioness said, We have a meal prepared. Shall we head over? She answered. Yes, sounds good. I want pudding. Hee hee. As they walked towards inside, Maevia noticed her parents' faces looking overwhelmed. At the dining table there was complete silence. Observing that, Maevia thinks in her mind, what's with this atmosphere? I knew Aedis wasn't much of a talker, but I didn't expect even my parents to be this quiet. Are they still uncomfortable around him? Then the Duke calls out. Dear, she replied. Yes? He puts a piece of potato onto her plate and said, You have to eat a little bit of everything if you want a long life. Looking at the potatoes, she recalled the scene where Sarah shouted, She dislikes sweet potatoes, cucumbers, onions, and potatoes. If you want to avoid poison, you must avoid foods containing those ingredients, she said inwardly. You brat, you knew I'm picky? Then the Duke said, offering a cucumber. Maybe you could try a bite of this too, she replied, annoyed. Put that down or it's straight to divorce. Ahem. So you're leaving this weekend? Her father asked. She replied. Yes, father. She thinks in her mind, maybe it's thanks to Aedis speaking up, but at least they're finally talking. Her mother said, Lady Elaine has been looking for you. Why don't you say goodbye before you leave? Upon hearing that, Maevia thinks, if mother mentioned it herself, it must mean Monica's been pestering them for days now. Her mother added, Be kind to her. She seems to like you quite a bit, she replied. Why do I not feel that at all? She remembers, she got caught bad-mouthing me to Gilbert before too. We couldn't talk much because Gilbert caused a scene. Maybe things can change this time. she then said. I'll meet with her at night while leaving, the Duke said. Then we'll get going now, Marquis said while bowing. Your Grace, please take care of our daughter Maevia. I admit, we were worried because of the rumors surrounding you, but we've come to realize that's not all there is to you. Please, always treasure Maevia as you do now. Then they left in carriage. While traveling with him, Maevia thought Aedis said he met the first head of house too. That means he must have lived at least 500 years, so why didn't he ever marry? Objectively speaking, my husband is pretty amazing. Then she calls him. Aedis, this is your real self, isn't it? He asked. What do you mean? She added. You're considerate, kind side, this is who you really are, he replied. You're probably the only one who sees me that way, she blushed. That's just because no one really knows you yet, she thinks in her mind. Just look at my hair. Even Sarah struggled with it at first. There's no way someone could manage that after just one practice try. This man, honestly, the Duke teased. Which part did you like? I'll keep it in mind for the future, she replied. That bright smile. Maybe you can't always be cheerful, but even so, sometimes, just smile as much as you want. I'll be right here to make sure you have reasons to. And so, the next day, their carriage set off smoothly toward the north. The Duke was examining her. He instructed. Open your mouth a little wider, she complied but asked. Aedis. What are you? Are we playing doctor now? He replied. We don't know what side effects could come from the magic beast's blood you drank, she said. Don't worry. Sarah checked everything carefully last night. Then she asked. Come to think of it, aren't you going to use teleportation magic? He replied. There's something I wanted to show you. Later they stopped near a stream. Looking at the scenery, she said in awe. Wow, the Duke said. I passed this way coming to the capital and thought the scenery was beautiful. It's a view you won't find easily up north, so I wanted you to see it. She was speechless upon hearing that. She remembers, in Esmeralda's crescent moon, the Grand Duke of Kalakis was always expressionless. The few emotions he showed were usually scorn, disdain, or some other unpleasant feelings. Aedis wasn't emotionless from the start. Someone had stolen his smile from him. Who hurt him so badly? In the novel, when Maevia arrived in the north after marrying Gilbert, a massive fire broke out. The cause was Resin, the protagonist, who accidentally released the seal of a powerful monster. From that point on, Resin's personality changed completely. Consumed by guilt over what he had done, they reached north. Maevia felt relieved as they approached the village. It looked intact, so at least they weren't too late. Aedis seemed lost in thought. There, Aedis? She called. She calls him again and again, but he was lost in thought, looking outside. As he realized, he asked, did you call me? She asked. What are you thinking so deeply about? Just wondering if bringing my wife here was the right decision, he admitted after a pause. When they reached at the mansion, Maevia said, I've never seen such a grand building. She gazed at the North Kalakis Duke's mansion, grand and imposing. Looking at its gray texture, she wonders, did a giant octopus monster appear and spray ink all over the castle? After a pause, the Duke said, I can't guarantee the inside is any better, so I'm not sure what to say to comfort you. She thinks, at least we made it back before the north burned down. After they stepped out from the carriage, she felt cold, turning her cheeks red. She said, I didn't expect it to be this cold. Just a little more, Aedis encouraged. And we'll reach the door. A soft meowing broke the tension. A cat? Soon more cats appeared surrounding her. She asked, Aedis, does the second prince like cats? I don't think so, he replied. She asked further. Then is it your familiar? He replied. No. A clumsy one like that is useless. Then she asked, so, who's taking care of it? Before they could answer, a voice greeted them. Have you returned, father? Nice to meet you. I'm Resin Kalakis. I've been eagerly waiting for the day to meet Her Highness. I may have many shortcomings, but I'll do my best, so please be lenient with me. Maevia blinked. He doesn't seem to have this kind of personality. The Resin I know from this period was reckless, a cheerful child. She smiled, thinking, it's my victory, right? He's cute, she said, leaning to him. Nice to meet you, Your Highness. Please take care of me too. Yes, Resin replied. Then someone calls him from behind Resin. Maevia's face twitches as he approaches. Resin beamed. Hyung, did you just call me? Gilbert said. The Duchess is the enemy of our family. Never trust her. Not even you. This bastard. Maevia clenched her teeth. The Duke cut in. He can't stop talking. Is he still lacking in education? Hearing that, Gilbert rushed in. I suddenly have a stomachache. I'll go now, he mumbled, trying to escape the tension. Maevia thinks, What kind of confidence does he have to act like that in front of Aedis? Your Highness? Resin hesitated. What did my brother mean by that earlier? She smiled and said. Don't misunderstand, Your Highness. If I really were the enemy, wouldn't I have taken Gilbert away nicely? Upon hearing that, Resin trembles and hides behind the Duke. So the Duke asked, Eve, are you the type to scare children? She said inwardly, what should I do when the kids have been avoiding me since my previous life? My original goal was to spend the money I earned from investments, throw a crazy party over Gilbert's corpse, and help Resin grow up well without being hurt. Later, while taking baths, she sighed, at this rate, will I never get along with kids that age? Oh, right, she said, snapping out of it. Sarah, did you pack the gift well? Sarah replied. The bride for the prince, I mean, the gift for him, Maevia said. Yeah, I plan to give it at dinner, Sarah answered, though she sounded unsure. But is it okay to just give it as is? Maevia said. Why not? Everyone likes it, Sarah said, hesitating. Well, it's true, but… Well, it's the thought that counts. Later, at dinner, Resin's voice echoed through the hall when the Duke arrived from the dinner. Father, are you going to have dinner with us? He replied. Yeah, today. Then he turns to the servant and added, Please don't put onions in the soup. The servant complied. Yes, Your Majesty, Resin asked. Father, do you not like onions anymore? The Duke smiled faintly. No, nothing's wrong. Then Resin began blabbing. Of course, so, the nanny caught a cold for a while, but she's better now. I brought the medicine myself, and the nanny was so happy. And she grew taller, so the blanket became too small for her. Later he asked, But father, is Hyung not attending the banquet? The Duke replied. He knows the value of his life, so he probably won't come. Maevia isn't that generous. His expression turned despair. Are you saying Her Highness, the Duchess, is stronger than my brother, who's a genius swordsman? Meanwhile, Maevia arrived late. I'm too late, aren't I? I've prepared a gift as a token of apology. A gift? Resin echoed, his voice trembling with both surprise and apprehension. She placed the box in front of him and said, You can open it now if you want. I'm scared, but since it's a gift from Her Grace. Resin hesitated, his fingers trembling as he lifted the lid. His eyes widened. What is this? He thought. The object inside seemed to radiate an ominous air that made his heart race. It feels seriously ominous. He almost cried, thinking, Does Her Grace hate me? Did I make some terrible mistake? If she could at least give me a chance to apologize. What's wrong, Resin? His father asked. What kind of gift is it? He replied. She gave me a jewel. He asked. A diamond? Maevia filled in. Not just any diamond, it's a 4-carat black diamond. She forced a light laugh. The Duke asked. When was the last time I spoke to kids? She replied. It's been a while, but trust my taste. This black diamond isn't just valuable as a jewel. I'm sure it'll come in handy for you someday. She leaned towards Resin and continued. What do you think, young master? Can you feel my sincerity? Oh, and I hand-wrote a letter as well. I just want you to know that I want to be close to you. Thank you. I'll cherish it, Resin said, his cheeks flushing with fear. I'm glad you like it, she said with a warm smile. Resin's eyes darted nervously to the gem. It's not cursed or anything, right? Let's eat before the food gets cold, the Duke said, trying to shift the mood. Resin, you too. Yes, father, Resin replied, still eyeing the diamond warily. Where did she even find something so ominous? Could it be what I heard earlier? Is it actually true? Before dinner, Resin sought out his brother. As Gilbert was walking, he chased him. Brother, Gilbert asked. What is it? Resin questioned. What did you mean earlier? That Her Grace is an enemy? Gilbert sneered. Are you doubting me? Resin was about to speak, but got interrupted by Procyon, who said, Hey, stop filling the young master's head with nonsense. Procyon interjected firmly. Young master, saying Her Grace is an enemy is complete nonsense. She's not exactly sweet, nor particularly gentle. Resin looked at him with confusion. Procyon continued. But you saw yourself how beautiful she is, right? Even the snobbiest nobles in the capital call her the most beautiful woman. And rumor has it she's insanely rich too, even through unofficial means. Unofficial means? Resin echoed, his concern growing. Just rumors. Just rumors. It just shows how capable she is, Sir Procyon insisted, laughing nervously. He laughed awkwardly, trying to cover what he had blurted out. Back to the dining table. Resin paled, looking at Maevia, a woman who could take down even my brother if she wanted, and rules the underworld of the capital. His head spun. Can I be excused? I don't feel well. You've looked pale for a while, Maevia said softly. I'll escort you. Someone, fetch stomach medicine to the young master's room. And he's sweating, check if the nanny mentioned any chronic conditions. The butler bowed. Yes, Your Grace, she instructed. And change his blankets to thicker ones, just in case. Wet towels too. Do we not use those for upset stomachs? Rezin turns to his father. His father said she means well. Then Maevia turns to him after picking the gems box. She said, Let's go, young master. I'll take care of the gift, so don't worry. But Rezin couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. Means well, where exactly are we going? He glanced up as they reached his room. Then they went to his room. After reaching in, he said, This is my room, Maevia asked. Is it all right for me to go in? You're already halfway in, he said with a small smile. Why, yes. Rezin stepped inside, only to be greeted by a familiar sound. Meow. Then a cat stretches and meowed on the sofa. Rezin said, Isabel, why are you here? You should be in your room, Maevia said. Yeah, the young master needs to rest. Let's go now, Rezin said, Your Grace. Isabel's a bit. But as Maevia approaches, Isabel simply cuddled up and began purring. That's right, off you go now, Maevia said gently. If we leave her in the hallway, she'll find her way back. Then Rezin said, Oh, right. Or Daisy will bring her back. She's the maid who looks after the cats, Maevia asked. Did Daisy name the cats too? He replied. No, they were named by Count Elliot. Maevia turned serious. I see. Fancy names, their own rooms too, Rezin said. You must be tired, Your Grace. You should head back now. I'll just lie down quietly and wait for the nanny to bring medicine, she leaned in and said. Then, let me stay with you for a bit longer. He hesitated. You really don't have to. As she extends her hand to him, he closes his eyes. She caressed his cheeks and said, Young master. Her voice was soft but firm. Honestly, I'm not very good with kids. I've never had many chances to get close to them. I might not be much help, but at least until your nanny, Lady Teresa, arrives, I want to stay by your side. Would that be a problem? His demeanor completely changed as she sweetly asked. He replied, And no, it's not a problem. It's just, I feel like I'm bothering you. Yeah, that's why. She pushed him to the bed gently and said, I'm glad you care for me. Then let's get you lying down, okay? Why, yes, Rezin said, cheeks pink. After he gets on bed, he blurted out, Your Grace, I have something I'm curious about. Can I ask? She said. Of course, he asked. How did you meet my father? He rarely leaves the estate. The first meeting was at the Imperial Palace, she replied thoughtfully. He came to scold someone who tried to harm me. She smiled faintly. Since it's a kid, that explanation should do. Anything else you're curious about? He asked. Will father come out to see me again tomorrow? She replied. I'll make sure he does. But that means you have to get better, okay? He gets excited. Really? I feel fine already. I should pick out something to wear. I didn't have time to prepare properly today. Upon hearing that, she muttered. You were already cute, dashing today. Just then, a soft knock. Young master, it's Nanny Teresa, Rezin said. The nanny's here. You can really leave now, Your Grace, like a little squirrel. Maevia murmured fondly. That's too bad. I wanted to read you a bedtime story, he exclaimed. And next time. Please, next time, she said. Then, see you tomorrow, young master. And gets up to leave, Rezin said, bowing. Yes. Have a safe trip. As Eve left, Rezin slumped with relief. Phew, finally gone. The nanny entered with medicine in hand. Young master, I heard you weren't feeling well. Here's some medicine, he replied, smiling. I'm fine now. The cause of that problem is gone. Rezin lay back, his mind swirling. Her Grace is such a strange person. Everyone either fears or worships father, but she treats him so casually. Strong enough to overpower my brother, ruling the back streets of the capital too. If you think about that, she's scary. The gift she gave me was really ominous too. But when she worried about me, it felt real, warm, comforting somehow. It was the first time I felt that way. She's still scary, but maybe I don't have to avoid her completely. While walking in the hallway, Maevia observed, for how it looks, the inside of the castle is pretty well maintained. Still, there's a lot that needs fixing. After looking at the car statues, she continued, especially those things. It's like there are more cats than people here. It feels like someone filled the castle entirely with their own taste. Even the towels had cat embroidery. Surely the Lord's bedroom isn't like that too? She went in and looked around. At least there's no cat decor in here. It's a bit dark, but not bad overall. And over here a sofa, with Aedis sitting on it. As her gaze fell on him, he asked. Finished inspecting? She replied. For now, yes, he asked. Did I pass? She remarked. Yeah, just barely. She sat beside him and teased. But, it's our first night together in a week. Didn't you miss me at all? As he doesn't reply, she thinks. It was supposed to be a joke, but now it's just awkward. Or is there really a problem? She gave a weary smile. I must be more tired than I thought. I'll turn in early tonight. All right, he replied gently. I still have a few things to finish up. And as she turned to go, she added, Don't overwork yourself. We can't have that handsome face of yours getting ruined, he replied. Right. Then she went to bed. He thought, watching her, she really must be exhausted. It looked like she'd fall asleep the moment her head touched the pillow. Maevia thinks in her mind, standing there like that, Aedis almost seems like some outrageously beautiful villain, like a demon king from a legend. If a passing hero mistook him for some scheming villain and tried to take him down, I wouldn't blame them. Not that Aedis would ever lose, of course. Still, he really is ridiculously handsome. A bit lazy, sure, but what could I do? I just have to take good care of him myself. The next morning, she woke to find snow falling in thick flakes. But up north, this kind of weather was nothing remarkable. Count Elliot came to greet her in person, and when the Duke heard, he came to her office as well. Aren't you being a bit too active? She teased. Coming to my office? If my wife is handling family matters, the least I can do is show up, he said, looking mildly sheepish. I may be lazy, but I can't just sit back and let you do everything, can I? And then, realizing something, she grimaced slightly. Did I actually say that out loud yesterday? Count Tolemon Elliot has arrived, the butler announced. Let him in, she said, curious. I'm finally going to meet the man who'd plastered the ducal castle with cat-themed decorations. I wonder what he looks like, maybe something like a mischievous cat himself? Instead, a robust man with bronze skin and the features of a lion or tiger entered, bowing deeply. Greetings, Your Grace. I didn't realize His Grace the Grand Duke would also be present. Tolemon Elliot, currently managing the territory, at your service. I have sworn my life to House Kalakis, so please use me as you see fit. After looking at him, she thinks, this is nothing like I imagined. His appearance doesn't match the image of a cat lover at all. And honestly, I can't help wondering, forget the cats. How exactly has he been spending the budget? Nice to meet you, Count, she said politely. Since you're managing the territory, I'm curious how things are going. Has anyone tried to take advantage of the Grand Duke's absence for personal gain? Things are going well enough, he said. There are always some greedy people, but anyone who crossed the line was cut out without hesitation. She couldn't tell if he was bragging or stating fact. Then the Duke said, believe it or not, he is also the man who killed my parents. He probably knew how to handle scum like that. He didn't seem afraid of losing his position. She asked. Your parents? The Duke asked. Want to hear the details? She replied. No, I'd rather not know. Changing the subject, the Count asked. May I report all future territorial matters to the Grand Duchess's desk instead? My reports have been completely ignored by His Grace. That's not a difficult request, she said, amused. But are you sure you can trust me already? The Count replied. You've already saved the North, Your Grace. I'll begin reporting formally after you complete the ceremonial rites. Then she smiled. Very well. Then you're dismissed for now. And take the cats decorating the castle with you. That came as a shock to the Count. He jumped. Pardon? You mean the fairies, ma'am? They're like my familiars. If you're going to cast them out, cast me out first. Thank you for your service, the Duke said dryly. Your salary will be deposited on the 10th of next month. The Count felt defeated. My dear fairies. Wait, that's? Maevia questioned. Why are there even cats in the ducal castle? The Count replied. The fairies said they felt most at ease here, she asked. Did they tell you that directly? He replied. They're blessing the castle with good fortune, she asked, expression darkened. Fairies or not, is House Kalakis going to crumble without them? He replied. And no, of course not. Then he begged, Your Grace, please have mercy. I'll do anything, just don't cast them out, she replied thoughtfully. Is that so? Then for starters, remove every cat-themed decoration in the castle. I don't need to list them, you know what they are. He chose non-complying expressions and said, Yes, ma'am. So she asked. Aedis, is there anything you want? Aedis glanced at the Count, who still looked dazed. He said, We can't let him leave like that, he'd owe us an arm or a leg at this rate. She cut in. Let's not chop anything off. It'd be inconvenient for his work, the Count shouts after hearing that. And no, I'm truly clear-headed now. I swear, then Maevia said. Once you've finished what I asked, report back. Should I expect to wait long? The Duke creates an energy ball to threaten him. The Count bowed in fear. I'll take care of it right away. Then she teased. Well, Aedis, should we let him go? The Duke replied. If that's what you wish, my lady, before leaving the Count said. Thank you, your grace. Then I'll go carry out your orders immediately. After he left, she thinks. He's more stubborn than I thought, and Aedis doesn't seem to hate him. Judging by the reports, he's competent, too. Maybe he's one of those unnamed aides who show up occasionally in the original novel. Today's meeting wasn't bad, she thought quietly. I'll keep watching for now. I never actually planned to send the cats away. Resin licks them too much. But I did make it clear I'm not someone to take lightly. That should be enough to make him act properly. Then the Duke said, my lady, about the ceremonial rite Toleman mentioned earlier. She said, yes, he did mention something like that. The Duke continued, I should have explained first, sorry. It's been so long since the Kalakis family had a Grand Duchess. I completely forgot. She replied, I understand. Then she asked, what kind of ceremony is it? He replied, it's a simple rite. On a moonless night you go to the first bell tower and… Maevia stopped him by covering his mouth and said, oh, wait. I'll ask the second young master for more details. Is that all right? He replied, do as you please, my lady, but his face turned red. When she met him, she apologized for the sudden summons. Actually, I need your help, she said. Would you be willing to lend me a hand? He asked. My help? She replied. I need to perform a traditional rite at the bell tower, but I don't know anything about it. I figured if you gave me some advice I'd feel a lot better about it. He nodded, trying to calm himself. I'm on your side. Don't be nervous. Then he explained. There's a spirit sealed in the bell tower. Or at least, that's what they say. The founding Grand Duke sealed it away. Upon hearing that, she said, that sounds like quite the secret. Mind if I lean in a little closer to hear it? Resin replied, yes, your grace. Then again he began. Spirits of nature are usually gentle, but the ones in the north tormented people. The Grand Duke sealed them into statues and dragged them to the bell tower. The Grand Duchess performs the ritual to receive their blessing. Why the Grand Duchess, not the head of the house? She asked. My nanny didn't tell me that part, but, he shouted abruptly, I did hear something about the blood of the house, or something like that. Then she smiled warmly. I think you're probably right. Thank you for explaining. I'm glad I asked you. His face gets flushed after hearing the compliment. He replied, I'm happy I could help. Then she asked, actually, I'm supposed to have tea with Aedis soon. Would you like to join us? I know you've got afternoon classes, but if you've got time, he exclaimed. Me? I can really come? She replied. Of course. Then he excitedly said. Then I'll change into something else real quick, she said. You're already quite neat as you are. But he was too excited. He said, I have to wear the new outfit I bought. She replied. All right, I'll wait outside. And as she watched him rush off, she thought, to think this pure, bright child will change so completely in just a month. I need to give him so many good memories that running away won't even cross his mind. I can't risk awakening his dark side either win him over as his stepmother or shield him from Gilbert's violence. Let him spend plenty of time with aides that way. He won't fall into darkness, and he might stay this sweet and innocent. Just as she thought of that, Resin showed up looking far more impressive than she imagined. His hair was slicked back, and his uniform gleamed with gold trim. It made his admiration for Aedis more than obvious. Resin, clearly thrilled about the tea party with the Duke, finally looked his age and beamed. He joined them for tea. He was so excited to have tea with his father. Maevia thought, the way he looks at me seems a little less wary. After 30 minutes of tea time, the head butler escorted Resin off to his next lesson. After he left, the Duke asked, So, did you hear Resin's explanation about the spirits? Maevia replied, Ah, yes. The spirit sealed by the first Grand Duke has been forced to serve House Kalakis, apparently. I assume the reason the Grand Duchess has to go alone is because the spirit might retaliate if it sees the descendant of the one who sealed it, the Duke replied. That's more or less correct. Then she looked outside the window and said, The weather's not great today, but since we have to do it, we may as well get it over with. If I ask you to come with me later, will you? He replied. Of course. I suppose I should be honored, seeing as you never forget to bring me along on your outings, she asked. And if I ask you to accompany me when I tour the estate later? He replied. The escorting part isn't difficult, but I wonder what exactly it is my lady expects of me, she said, smiling. Protection. Backup and hairstyling, maybe?